Now, alleged Parliament arsonist Zandile Mafe has suffered another legal blow. The Western Cape High Court dismissing his appeal against the Cape Town Regional Court's decision earlier to deny him bail. 3 judges presided over the matter. Let's bring in now our reporter. That's my colleague Lindsay Dentlinger from our studios in Cape Town. Lindsay, good afternoon. You've been following this case today. Second time this appeal now being thrown out, but this time another judge has broken the stalemate. Tell us about this judgment.
Well, Dan, this whole matter was heard in April, and we heard last week the 2 judges at the time who heard that matter saying that they couldn't reach consensus. And so there was no judgment, and that whole matter was heard again today, 4 hours with no breaks. Both sides, the state and the defense for Zandile Mafe, again thrashing out the arguments as to why he believes he should be granted bail, and the state, of course, saying why it believes he should remain behind bars until his trial begins. Much of today's discussions revolved around the confession the state says it has, in which Zandile Mafe is alleged to have confessed to having set key parliamentary buildings alight, and also the matter of the video footage that purports to show him in the act setting the buildings alight. But not so, says his defense team. It argued that this could not be considered a confession, that he didn't admit to exact parts of this crime, that he was ambushed into delivering this statement, and that over and above all of this, saying the police had taken what it says is a confession from Zandile Mafe, and then only hours later had him psychiatric evaluated and declared that he was a schizophrenic. So how on earth could they want the court to uphold this confession when they also simultaneously argued that he was not of sound mind? And so those were some of the arguments again put before 3 judges today, and as you point out there, a 3rd judge today breaking the stalemate. Once again, the same 2 judges saying that they could not agree. The lead judge on the bench, Judge James Lekuleni, indicating by surprise, because we had not known going into today's proceedings who was in favour of him being granted bail and who not. And Judge James Lekuleni saying that under certain conditions, which he did not deliver as part of his judgment today, he would have granted Zandile Mafe bail. But these 2, the 2 majority judges saying that they did not agree that he should be released on bail, and so he will remain behind bars for now. But here's the judge delivering that very short judgment about an hour ago.
In giving judgment, I must say that we have deliberated over this matter with my colleagues, and as I said, we'll only be reading the orders. The court is divided as far as the outcome of this appeal is concerned. We have a split decision. We have a majority decision, and we also have a minority. In other words, we have a majority decision, we also have a minority decision. And I will be giving a dissenting judgment or a minority decision. And I'm going to give my brother Tulare to give judgment on behalf of the majority.
Thank you. After careful consideration of all the papers and having had counsel, I will make the following order. The application is dismissed.
I agree with my brother Tulare.
Thank you. As I said, I'm going to give a dissenting judgment to the decision of the majority. In my view, after a careful consideration of all the issues, and after a careful consideration of all the evidential material that has been placed before court, and after a careful consideration of the arguments that have been presented, I would have upheld the appeal, and I would have directed that the accused be released on bail subject to certain bail conditions. And that will be my dissenting judgment to the decision of the majority.
But I understand, Lindsay, that Mr. Mafe's lawyer saying this is not the end of the road.
Well, they've been given a little bit of hope, if you will, Dan, by the fact that, again, today, one of the judges saying that he would, under strict conditions, have granted Mr. Mafe bail. So that gives them a glimmer of hope that somewhere they could convince a judge that Zandile Mafe be released on bail. And his lawyer, Luvuyo Godla, telling us after proceedings today that even though Mr. Mafe is due back this time in the Cape Town Magistrates Court next week, at which we expect an indictment to be served on him and for the case to be transferred for trial to the Western Cape High Court, that these matters are still very far away, and it won't be, his legal team suspects, before the end of the year that this matter will even go to trial. We got an idea from the state prosecutor today that, again, the state will pursue that matter of having Zandile Mafe undergo psychiatric observation. You will recall that decision was overturned previously, but the state telling the court today that there's no way that that trial can begin until Mr. Mafe is assessed and evaluated as to whether he is of a state of mind where he could be aware of the criminal intent of his actions, and so we expect that to dominate pre-trial proceedings. And also for that reason, Mr. Godla then telling the media afterwards that while all this unfolds, his client should be released on bail, that it would be unfair towards him to keep him incarcerated while we wait for this trial to begin, and for the duration of this trial that could take many months, if not more than a year. And so they will not give up on their attempt to appeal this decision, once again, not to grant his client's bail. But here is Zandile Mafe's lawyer, Luvuyo Godla.
We are coming all the way from Magistrate Court, and I think we have made 4 appearances here in all. And in Magistrate Court, for purposes of bail, we have made as well approximately 3, if not 4. So it has been quite a very long way for ourselves. And we will then now sit and reflect comprehensively to the decision of the court today. But I am inclined to indicate that, obviously indicated that we will appeal. And if it needs us, after consideration of the judgment, if it needs us that we still appeal up until the last court of the land, we will surely do so. But I can tell you right now, it's still not over.